This is Rick Reynolds, gentleman podcaster about town and lover of retro video gaming podcasts. And I like to listen... Wait, this is the SNES podcast? Greg, I never had an SNES. Yes, I didn't have an SNES, but I'm guessing you did. You're listening to Soul Blazer talking about the SNES system, something that you totally had growing up. Am I done now? Is that good?
At $200, a Super Nintendo setup costs twice as much as the old system. For the money, the company promises better pictures, sound, and adventure. Now you're playing with power, superpower. You're the king, I tell you! The king!
Only for Super NES. You're listening to the SNES broadcast with your hosts, Soul Blazer and George.
Hello, everybody. Welcome again to the Super NES podcast. Always pleased to have you here as always. Episode number 84 coming at you this time. I'm Greg, one of your regular co-hosts, joined always by George, my other regular co-host.
That's me.
Yeah. Yep. So, we are looking at a game I've wanted to look at here for a while, but never actually had played until now. The home-only version of one of the popular arcade games of like the 80s, Paperboy 2, which was developed by Tengen and published by Mindscape for the Super NES back in November of 1991 for NTSC and PAL regions. And George, I know that just your first time playing this game. Like I was here, so both of us are coming in here like fresh.
Yep.
But both of us also have experienced like the original game, Paperboy. Do you want to just talk real briefly, George, about your experience with the original game?
Yeah, I when I was a kid, I played the NES version quite a bit. So
yeah, the NES version's like quite good.
Yes.
The Sega Master System version of the game is also like very impressive. I know a bunch of people who prefer that over the NES version. So, Paperboy is a pretty interesting, unique game. It came out originally like arcades by Atari back in 1985. The game was one of those that had a special custom controller where you actually had like the handlebars of a bike that you used to actually push forward to make the bike go faster, or push it back to have the bike slow down, and left and right to turn the bike. Pretty fun. It didn't really like impact converting to the home releases. Thank God for that, because there's some arcade games that are very difficult to port when they have custom controllers like that. But yeah, just basically you're just trying to go down a street, the same street, just trying to avoid obstacles, score points, and deliver papers. And you know, if you manage to get papers like our subscribers, you earn extra subscribers. It's like the end of the day. If you fail to put a paper in either the mailbox, the front door of like a subscriber, that subscriber leaves. You lose all your houses, the game's over.
Wait, you're telling me that I can't throw the papers at the people?
Depending upon the version of the game, sometimes.
Wait, really?
Yeah, some of the I was going to talk about this later on, but some of the versions of Paperboy 2, as long as you hit them with the paper, it counts.
Oh man, I wish it was in this version.
But usually you either have to get the paper like in the mailbox, like the front door.
Hey man, if I throw it through your window, like you're still getting your paper. Like, why are you unsubscribing? You're still getting your paper. Like, it's on time. It's even in your house. You don't even have to walk outside and pick it up. It's in your house, and you're still complaining? Jeez.
Paperboy was also well known for was very over-the-top humor that was in the game. A whole bunch of weird and abstract and crazy things could happen in the game, especially when you get to the, especially once you made it to the later days. And the game also had voice. Some pretty funny lines too in the voice. But, so Paperboy basically was just 7 days. I just make it through the week. You've managed to make it through all 7 days and still have a house. Still have a house left. You win. One of the earlier arcade games actually have an actual a winnable condition to it, i.e. makes the game beatable. Or if you lose your subscribers or you lose your lives, which is the latter is more likely to happen, then the game's over with. So, Paperboy I played both in the arcades and also in the NES version quite a bit as a kid. Difficult game, but very fun. The charm of the game certainly makes up for its difficulty. I think it's it's a pretty unique game. It's kind of it's very charming with the actual trying to all the comical stuff and crazy stuff that can happen. Just do it down the street. So, very good game for time period. So, obviously, because the game was so successful, they wanted to make a sequel. But for some reason, Atari decided not to try to bother putting the sequel in the arcades. Even the arcades during this time period, during the 90s, were going through a little bit of a resurgence because of games like Street Fighter 2 and whatnot being out there. So Paperboy 2 only was available for the home systems. Besides the Super NES, the game also came out on the Amiga, Amstrad, Atari ST, DOS, Game Boy, Game Gear, Genesis, NES, and Spectrum. And these all came out during the 91-92 time frame. Tengen on some platforms directly published the game themselves, like the Genesis version. For the Nintendo versions, because of the bad blood that happened between Tengen and Nintendo by that point, they published they licensed the game over to Mindscape, to publish. Mindscape was also the company, by the way, that published Paperboy 1, for the NES as well too. So they released both games, and basically Paperboy 2 is just pretty much the best way I can describe it is Paperboy 2. It's like Paperboy on drugs. It's just an enhanced version of the original game where they double down on the stages and double down on the houses and tried to double down the humor. I think it's mixed to do mixed results to it.
Are you sure it's enhanced?
Well, I say enhanced because the fact that the graphics are better. The graphics are better than they were in the original game. Because obviously, 6 years later, and you not only have one street to go down to, you also have three. Paperboy 2 has 3 streets.
Too much work.
Very fitting. Yeah. What?
Too much work.
The very fitting. Yeah. The very fitting names of Easy Street, Normal Avenue, and Hardway. And you're trying to get through a week on each road also, and if you manage to get through, Paperboy, if you manage to make it through an entire street for a week and still have a house left, you go on to the next stage. So, finish all the stages, and the stages beat the game. So, the controls for the game are pretty simple. It's pretty standard controls for Paperboy, regardless of what version of the game you're playing. The pad moves your bike side to side, and you can press up on it to speed up and press down to slow down. One button will throw your papers to the left, one button will throw your papers to the right, and this part, this feature I do like, because the Super NES has 6 buttons on it. You basically pick which 3 buttons that you want to use to throw left, and which 3 buttons. The 3 buttons that you want to use to throw right. So, for example, the L and R triggers can work. You can also use the B and A buttons, the X and Y buttons. So it's your choice on which combo buttons that you want to use. Which one do you end up using, George?
I didn't even realize that was a thing, so I just used B and A.
They're trying to use the extra buttons on the controller.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
One of the buttons should have made a bell ringing noise.
that would have been a nice touch. So if you thought Paperboy was difficult, this game cranks the difficulty by factor 10.
Oh,
this
it's
is
ridiculous.
A tough game. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It took me quite a while, and even with Libidinous use of save states to be able to make it through the first several days.
I wouldn't be surprised if the SNES just started asking for quarters.
Because there's so many more houses, the houses and obstacles, coming at you like this. It's a version of the game, but there's no less than 14 different kinds of subscriber houses. And there's also 8 types, 8 types of non-subscriber houses. Subscriber houses are pretty standard. You recognize them pretty soon because they're pretty soon because the color schemes they use. They also have the word "sun" printed on the mailbox as well. Also, so you recognize the houses that you're supposed to be putting papers into. The non-subscriber houses, though, those are the very fun ones because you have welfare house, the haunted house, the gargoyle house, the construction site. My personal favorite, the castle. It's you're playing this game and you're going what kind of Twilight Zone world am I playing in? Where there's castles shooting castles live cannons just shooting cannonballs at you here.
Well, I mean, remember, if you're not a subscriber to your local newspaper, you are very evil.
Yeah, I guess that was the message they were trying to put across in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that you think about it. Yeah, there are plenty of enemies for you you want your blood in this game.
Or your ink.
Or your ink, or your bike tire, or they want to make you, do a header over your bike or whatnot, but I haven't counted it, but you have orange car, brown dog, gargoyle, Dalmatians, cannon, scarecrow, basketball players, skipping triplets, my favorite. Monster truck, dog catcher truck, sewer monster, sunbather, barbecue man, and a pig. Pro tip, don't hit the pig with the paper, otherwise pig will come alive and chase you.
Yes.
Rock throwers, tire rowers, truck fixers, ghosts, zombies, vultures, couch movers. Oh, I hate those guys. Lawn cutters, car fixers, unicycle clowns. I have not seen that one. Runaway girl, runaway robber, skateboarder, glass delivery guys. Oh, those are also very, very difficult. And mummies. So, yeah, a lot of enemies, which is one of the reasons the game is really, really difficult.
I like to see them more as obstacles.
Well, depending upon what they're doing, sometimes they are just obstacles.
Yeah.
None of those enemies are moving.
What kind of town do you live in where people just throw rocks randomly at the Paperboy? Man, this is terrible.
Yeah, that's what I said. This is a very hostile ghetto Twilight Zone-ish town that you're living in. But there are a few differences. So there are a few minor differences between this game and the original game. You can choose to be a boy or a girl on this one. It's cosmetic only. Doesn't affect the gameplay.
That's so interesting because how many games around this time allowed you to do so?
Not many.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a few. There was a Atari 2600 game from 1983 called Ghost Manor that allowed you to play either a guy or a girl. But not very many games. I mean, I wish there had been a slight difference in actual playing them besides just being cosmetic. Maybe the boy can throw the paper faster, but the girl can bike faster.
I don't know, man. I think this game promotes equality, and I don't know. I mean, does it really matter?
No, not really. It's just a cosmetic only. It's a nice touch. So.
Yeah, it's just really when I booted up the game and I saw that, I was just like, that is so interesting. I never would have expected a game around this era to be do you want to be a boy or a girl? And it's well, crap. That's oddly progressive, I guess.
Right. You also have your bag can also carry more papers in this game. like compared to the original, the original Paperboy, and trust me, you'll need all of them because it's very difficult to get like you sitting at the bundles to refill your stock. So you definitely want to get some practice trying to make your aim true. This game also has a password system that the original game didn't have. You get a password every time you finish the day, and you can always go back to it later on afterwards. And like the original game, there's also a bonus stage field you can play at the end of the play at the end of the day. Just your no real pressure in this one. You're just trying to go through as fast as you can, just and just try to hit obstacles to get points. You can also, depending upon certain actions you do during the day, the newspaper that starts next day can also change the message. For example, you break several windows of paper, the message changes to mysterious vandalism baffles police. You can also foil the armed robbery. You can also save the baby. Yeah. Yeah, nice touch there. The streets also arranged in a different shape compared to the original game. Each of the 3 stages has the road arranged in a different pattern, and you just pretty much just it's not a huge difference in gameplay, but just kind of break it up a little bit because because you can kind of figure out, okay, there's the last house in this section. Now the road changes and goes this way, and so I know this is coming up next. So just it's a small difference in gameplay to make it a bit more difficult, I think, which is a nice touch.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's funny to think that throwing a newspaper at a robber will just knock him over and stop him from what he's doing, but
Well, the developers really tried to double down the humor this game because they realized just how funny the original game was,
right.
And I think it kind of had mixed success. I mean, some of the things in this game generally are laugh out loud funny. There definitely is some comical value playing this game. The first time you were speaking about that roasted pig, for example. The first time I hit that pig with paper by accident, he came alive, charged after me. I'm going, oh crap.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I think the developers tried to cram so much this game that they kind of overdid it in some areas. Because it's kind of there's so much going on in the game, you really can't appreciate the game what it's trying to give you as far as the actual comical value of it. The old phrase, it's so busy that you can't stop and smell the roses kind of comes to mind.
Right. There's so much going on, you can't pay attention to everything. You gotta make sure that you don't crash. That, though, is one of the biggest problems, is when you get knocked over, or when you get hit or whatever, and then it resets you, because sometimes it resets you in, the worst place possible.
Yeah, the game tries not to throw you back too far, but the place it kind of arbitrarily picks you start, that can be a pretty, bad location.
Also, if you ride over the sewer grates, you fall over. Oh boy.
That was in the first game, too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because, it makes sense in real life. Bikes can't do very well on grates usually.
I don't know.
Well, I guess it depends upon the grate. If it's depending upon how you approach it.
Is it a grate?
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose. But, there's a lot going on here in this game. I will say the game plays smoothly. There's no flicker.
Definitely not.
It scrolls smoothly, so it can be very difficult, however, to see things coming at you depending upon how you're biking. Some areas of the stage you don't have a lot of visibility in front of you, which can make it very, very difficult to dodge obstacles. So, trying to play slow is definitely good, but you can't always, go slow, because if you go slow, then you don't have the speed that you need sometimes to avoid certain obstacles, so it's, very, very difficult to decide, what the best speed to take this game with is.
Yeah, that's true. it's kind of annoying.
Oh, like what is?
Like the speed. Because, sometimes you do have to slow down, sometimes you need to speed up, but it's like, sometimes you just can't get it down, especially with, like, things like rock throwers and crap like that.
Yeah, true. But, it definitely takes practice, practice to be able to line the paper up to make a good shot, too, because sometimes, there's a lot of times where I'm like, I could have sworn I got that paper, directly lined up there, why didn't it go in? Because you have to account for the actual motion of your bike, the actual motion of your bike and whatnot. The first game had this trick also, but I think trying to throw papers and trying to land them accurately in both front doors and mailboxes is more difficult. Difficult in this game.
It's kind of annoying because if you throw the paper and it hits the house and it's around the door or whatever, it should still count because, hey, somebody's gonna open the door and they're not just gonna look down right in front of the door and say, oh, no newspaper, I'm gonna have to go in and complain. Nope, doesn't happen in real life. When we get the newspaper delivered, the guy throws it and it's on the lawn, nowhere near the door, so hey.
Yeah. My parents' paper gets delivered by a guy in a car at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
So.
Yep, I think that's what everyone does now.
He doesn't throw it though. He just puts it in the mailbox.
Well, see, that maybe has a short route because.
Yeah.
I don't know, because too many people here. You waste time if you just.
Oh yeah, true.
If you take your time to put it in the mailbox for everyone. On top of not everyone's mailbox is right in the front. You'd have to go and walk. So,
speaking about throwing papers, we probably should mention Windows.
I'm running Windows 10 right now.
Same here, but that's not what I was meaning.
Oh, okay.
You want to be very careful not to throw a paper like the window like a subscriber, because even if you get the paper correctly also in their house, i.e. front door or front door mailbox, they'll still cancel. I cancel their subscription. They view a bust a window out.
But they're getting their newspaper. I don't see what the problem is. Non-subscribers though, you get a lot of points for busting out their windows of paper. That's some mafia crap going on right there. Oh, you don't want to subscribe? Okay, well we're gonna bust in your windows with newspapers. Also, how hard do you have to throw a newspaper to make it shatter a window?
Pretty damn hard.
Yeah.
I mean, Sunday paper. Maybe you could do that, but
right, because it's so thick.
Yeah, not a weekday one though. But
oh god, no.
So,
you'd have to be pretty powerful to do that.
Right. Yeah. Something else also that you can use to recognize the difference between subscribers and non-subscribers. I already mentioned the paint jobs earlier, but look at the yards also. Subscribers hard. I mean, as a rule of thumb, the yards of subscribers be very neat and clean cut and orderly, and for non-subscribers who have overgrown obstacles, broken fences, that kind of stuff.
Honey, we just subscribed to the newspaper. All right, get the lawnmower. We need to start cutting the lawn. What?
The messages this game is trying to send, it's if you subscribe to your local paper, then you're a good person, otherwise you're not.
I know, right?
It's very strange, but the game is relatively short. It really only, assuming you don't keep dying over and over again in a stage. They can go through a stage of the game about maybe 5-6 minutes. By stage I mean in day. But there's a walkthrough on YouTube of a player, perfect player. He does lose some lives, but he always manages to get all his subscribers.
Wow.
He played through the entire game and just. He made it through the entire game in 1 hour and 7 minutes.
1 hour?
Yeah,
Huh.
1 hour 7 minutes. So
That's weird.
So if you know what you're doing, not a very long game.
Kind of weird to dedicate yourself to that game.
Well, yeah. Also, the ending of the game sucks. So don't go all the way through 21 days. You expect to play anything great because you're not going to get
What
it.
is the ending?
All it is just the same newspaper screen again. Just like Paperboy wins big. That's it.
Paperboy does job. That means he wins big. Wait, what?
That's the whole ending.
So you're telling me if I become a paperboy and I do my job for long enough, I will win big?
Yes, like in life.
Okay, sweet. Can't wait.
Yeah, right. So
Paperboy becomes millionaire. Did job for 21 days, or however long it is.
yeah, they don't ask you to collect money like in this game. That could have been like an interesting thing. Like,
Oh, that would have been an interesting mini game.
Yeah.
Now we should think of what the collecting money mini game would be. I would say maybe something like the customer tries to just like throw rocks at you or something, and you have to like bounce them back at them or something like what do you call it? I'm blanking out on the name now.
Sorry.
You got the paddle and you're bouncing the balls. And you gotta hit the bricks.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Those things. I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name either.
Oh, great.
But yeah, that'd be pretty cool. But yeah. I mean, the graphics in this game are mixed bag, I thought. The color scheme's not very good, I thought. There's a lot of colors here, but they're not very like bright or colorful. I mean, it's kind of a drab look. The actual graphics themselves though are pretty sharp.
Yeah, they do.
Which is the complete opposite of the Genesis version.
I have not seen the Genesis version.
Yeah, I played a bit of the Genesis version to compare it. I think the Genesis version is actually a bit better because, for several reasons. The graphics of the Genesis version, like I said, are the polar opposite of what the Super NES version has. The overall graphics are not as sharp, but the colors are much more like vivid and bright.
Oh, okay.
Same thing applies to music and sound effects.
That's weird because isn't usually like the Genesis more like dark?
Well, I get the impression that different teams at Tengen probably programmed. Well, yeah, of course, different teams at Tengen program this game. The game came out on both systems like at the same time period. Could simply been a case of one team knowing the hardware better than the other team did. I don't think this game was a huge effort. Because there's just, like I said, this game is pretty much the equivalent of like a, direct-to-home follow-up in a popular movie. Tengen was just trying to capitalize upon the success of the original game, and just kind of do like a bigger version of it. So,
Yeah.
I really don't think this game really had a lot of time spent on it. So, your kid on the bike, he looks fat.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, he looks like a big fatty.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, so.
That's what they meant by wins big.
Well, plenty of exercise doing this. I mean, trying to paddle as fast as you can to avoid being shot by cannon. That would motivate you.
Yeah. I think that'll motivate anyone.
There are also times this game where I'm literally sure if you did that to somebody in real life, like you probably killed them. Throwing, whopping somebody in the head like with paper, like causing them to throw into causing them to fall into a pit.
Paperboy murders.
There are times literally where I think a death, death penalties being inflicted upon somebody, like due to their actions.
That's that's crazy to think about now.
Well, yeah, I mean, the game, like we talked about, the game's going very hard for over the top tongue-in-cheek stuff going on here.
No.
I don't think it's highly successful, but I appreciate them trying. So. The graphics, music, graphics, that'd be okay. Music and sound effects are also a mixed bag in this game, I thought. The music's terrible.
I can't even remember any of the music. That's how bad it is.
It is atrocious. It's probably it was probably like one of the worst Super NES soundtracks I've heard.
I could tell you. I remember what the NES game, the first game, sounded like.
The NES game, like great music. That was a good.
It was pretty good.
But not this game. But I will say, however, to offset that, the sound effects of the game are very good. The screeching of the tires, just like the sound effects about the dog barking, the dogs barking, cannons firing, the breaking of the glass, great sound effects. So the horrible music offset by the sound effects.
That's fair to say.
Genesis version of this game has no great shakes on music either, but that version of the game has voice in it.
Does it sound like there are farts?
No.
Dang.
But it's a very the Genesis version. The Genesis music is pretty bad also. But
I might go listen to them later.
For some reason, that version of the game had like voices in it. They actually had the Paperboy talking that one.
What do you say?
Just pretty much the same comical one-liners that he does in the first game.
Okay.
Just like but I didn't write anything down. Sorry, but
no,
just
like
So, but again, it's like I think the team programming this Genesis version of the game was just simply better with the hardware than the team the Super NES version was. There's no reason the Super NES version of the game can't have voice also. So I really don't know.
No idea. Don't know what to tell you.
So like difficulty, we've already talked about difficulty. This is a tough game. It's going to take you quite a while just to make it through the first stage. So
unless you give up, and that's going to take you forever.
Well, I was just going to say, replay value depends upon how good you are at the game, because three stages does give the game some replay value, and so it will take an average player quite a long time, I think, to be able to get good enough at the game to finish it. But once you start the game, there's like okay, you're done. There's no incentive to go back to it.
I don't have a reason to go back to it now. Honestly, I really don't.
Well, since you already brought us there, George, why don't we go into your final thoughts here, like on this?
Sure.
George is going to be a lot harsher in this game than I was, but...
Well, not really. I just didn't really like it. I think the best thing was, like, it looks nice, and also, like, it has that jokey stuff, which is pretty good, but on top, like, other than that, there's, like, not really much redeeming, because we already said before, but, like, sometimes when it resets you after you get hit by something, it doesn't really put you in an ideal location, and sometimes you get hit again, like, almost instantly. At least that was the problem I had. Other than that, I mean, some of it was just, like, skill stuff, so, like, I wasn't always getting my newspapers in the right place, so...
That's very tricky to do,
yeah,
yes.
It's more of a me thing than the game thing. I mean, the game is still slightly difficult on that side, but... yeah, it just... There's not much to say about this game either, I just didn't really like it. It wasn't very enjoyable for me. The music was completely forgettable. That's how bad it was.
Horrible.
I cannot remember any part of it at all. So.
Yeah, and you liked the first game, too.
Yes.
So, just something about the way this game presented itself just didn't appeal to you.
Yeah.
I guess I'm trying to enhance the game to make it like a bigger, better version of Paperboy.
They kind of failed.
Yeah. But well, I certainly agree with. I certainly agree with a lot. I certainly agree like a lot like what you're saying. I think basically the best thing I can say about this game is like if you're a fan of Paperboy, definitely check this game out because I kind of think this game does have some redeeming value to it. And
sure, it's not a bad game. I just don't like it.
Right. But if you're not a fan of Paperboy, nothing in this game is going to encourage you to play it because it's like if you don't like the game originally, this is not going to win you over. There's nothing really new here as far as the actual stuff. The stuff here that is new is not really big enough to really make it a totally different game. So anybody who doesn't like Paperboy is not going to enjoy this game. But if you like Paperboy, this is a pretty good updated version of the game. I would have 6 years later, I kind of think the sequel probably should have done a little bit more to it. I mean, I do appreciate the fact that there were like 3 different stages and being able to through the stages being able to have like a boy and a girl and some some extra obstacles and enemies and whatnot. But it's pretty much more of the same, which again is not a bad thing per se. I'm surprised to see it happen 6 years later. I think this really does kind of suggest the quick market cash cow kind of like thing, where it's like somebody 10 years later realized, oh yeah, that game came out a while back. That was pretty good. Let's do it again. But it just didn't have the right skill or experience necessary to be able to really to capture the essence of what made the first game like so much fun.
Yeah.
So I mean, in closing, this is a decent game. I don't think I don't think there's enough here to warrant me going back to it. I still prefer Paperboy over this game, but for what it is, it's fine. I mean, like I said, if anybody hasn't played Paperboy yet, check out this game. The Genesis version of the game, I think, is a little bit better than the Super NES version. I got a version, if I'm honest, just because of the better, music and voices, and the more brighter colors that the game has. But both of them are very, very playable. So, there was also released, and I'm kind of curious now to check out this version. I've never played it. Paperboy 64 also came out.
That's not a very good game either.
Yeah, during the 90s. Never played that one. From what I can see on YouTube, it kind of kind of has a very very bright, cartoony 3D 3D look to it.
Yeah.
I should have actually for recording, George. I could play that one. You have some experience with that version?
No, I don't, but I've seen gameplay of it.
Okay, all right, yeah. So, that's that. Well, that's probably going to be it for this franchise then, because that game didn't do very well either. So, yeah. So, there is one code, in the game, besides the usual passwords that you have to be able to start gameplay. If for some reason you're a sadist and you want to have even more difficult gameplay, you can punch in a code to make it tough mode, which increases the difficulty of the game.
Does that just kill you every 5 seconds?
I did not try it myself. I can only guess that version of the game probably simply has more enemies coming to you more often.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, this game is tough enough as it is. So, eBay pricing certainly bears out what we've been saying about the game. This is a game that's produced in large numbers, hoping the game be successful, and nobody really wants it. It's pretty easy to get. There's 110 copies currently listed on eBay, 75 copies recently sold. If you want the card of the game only, you can get it for a very, very cheap price. These prices include shipping. Cards only of the game have sold recently anywhere between $5 and $18. If you want the game complete, it's not that much more expensive, $29 to $52.50. And there's even some sealed copies of the game that sold out recently for $47 to $51. And to get a sealed copy of this game for to get a sealed copy of this game for $50, that's like a steal.
Sure it is, Greg. Yep. Sure. For that game, yeah. Oh, definitely a steal.
I mean, compared to what usual Super NES sealed games go for, but again, this is more proof prove the fact that nobody like really wants this game.
Yeah.
But for $5, yeah, I mean, like, this game's worth $5 to me. I mean, like, that's an okay price to pay for it.
I don't know. I wouldn't pay any money for this game, to be honest.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
When we do our special later on about like George's most hated Super NES games, I have a feeling this is going to be like making his list.
Ooh, we're doing that? Interesting.
I thought about doing it like the 100th episode, but it's ways to go for that one still. But
you say that, and then next thing you know, tomorrow we're going to be doing the 100th episode. So,
well, we're at episode 84 right now. We do an episode every 2 weeks, so 15 times 2 is 30. So that's going to be about 6.5 months.
I can't believe you did the math right on the spot, and you did it correctly too.
Yeah. No, almost correctly. 7.5 months, because like it's
That's more correct than I would have gotten.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be like like around summertime next year, like when we get around to that. So I wouldn't call it right around the corner, but it is getting there.
It's like halfway around the corner.
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know.
So I also checked out just as. Closing real quick some of the other versions of the game. The Amiga version like looks very pretty. The Atari version also looks like very impressive. The NES does a pretty good job pulling this off. I mean, like because again, this really isn't a complicated game. So it's kind of rare. It's kind of rare in the NES. Because by 91 the NES was starting to go out of fashion some, so they did make it so it's definitely a much more expensive game than this, the 16-bit versions are. The Spectre version of the game looks horrible. The Game Boy versions the Game Boy DOS versions are no great shakes for graphics either, for that matter. And the Game Gear version looks to be unplayable because of the view screen. Like you have you're zoomed in so much that in Paperboy, it's very hard to see like around you. So, yeah, probably Genesis version may be the best home version of the game out there. So that's saying a lot.
That's interesting that we're saying that the Genesis version's better. You should get it.
Well, I mean, it's 2017. I have no problem like giving credit like credit's due. I mean, there's some Jenny versions of the games that are much better than the Super NES ones. But just like I feel like vice versa. But But anyway, we're going to be covering next time a game George I think is going to enjoy a lot more than this game.
Probably
because it's his pick. What game do you want to check out next time, George?
Ogre Battle.
Yeah, speaking about like rare games, I've not played this version of the game. My own experience with it, like the PlayStation version. So I'm curious to see how it, curious to see how it looks and feels in my hands.
Oh my! Don't talk about that stuff, Greg.
Well, you know what I mean.
Sure.
But, so as always, we always appreciate you listening to the podcast. If you have any questions, suggestions, games you'd like to see covered in future episodes, please do let us know about it. We do have some tentative guest host appearances coming up later on. George and I just want to do some episodes by ourselves, like for a while, because we had so many guest hosts over the last several months. So we'll probably get back more into that, in a few months' time. You can find us on our Facebook page. We're getting close to 1,000 likes, so if you want to come over there and give us a like, we very much appreciate it. You can also feel free to email me directly if you want to at the SNESpodcast@yahoo.com. George and I also do another podcast together, PlayStation Power, which is not family friendly, but it follows roughly the same format. Where we are doing a special next time on that podcast because it's been 2 years. Hard to believe.
I know, it's insane.
Well, this podcast is coming in 3 years, so
yeah, that's even crazier.
And what are the podcasts you're currently doing, George?
I do Master System Masterpieces. That's basically the other one.
Okay. Anything else you want to plug, talk about here at the end?
No, I think everything's plugged in.
Okay. We are a proud member of both the Throwback Network and Retro Junkies, where you can find a whole bunch of other great retro-themed podcasts about gaming, non-gaming stuff. Be sure to check them out also. Like more like retro-themed goodness. George, do you want to mention real quick the other podcast that you and I were retro-themed podcast that we were just recently on?
Yes, we were on Super Podcast Bros, and we talked about console generations, and we talked about it for 3+ hours or something like that.
Well, their podcasts are pretty long anyway, so I kind of expected that.
Well, even they said it was long, so there's a problem there.
Yeah, and we got shoehorned into the stereotypical generations that the guys figured that we want to talk about. I got the 16-bit generation, and George got the PlayStation 1, so it worked out. Warning, that podcast is not family friendly.
Oh, geez, no.
Here, but
I would say that is the most underrated and overrated podcast.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
If you didn't know, Greg, that was a callback to something we said in the podcast.
Yeah, sure. Right. Took me a moment to get it. Okay, never mind. Well, they are underrated. I think. They do some. They have pretty. They have almost as many episodes on there, on theirs, like I do for this one. So, cover a whole bunch of stuff. Good topics over there. So go and check them out. But I think that pretty much covers it. As always, thank you again for listening to us. Always appreciate it. Feel free to give us a review on iTunes also, if you use that service. And we will catch you next time. So take care, all, and thanks again.
Goodbye.
Nintendo controls 80% of the video market. But no matter how you play the game, or which game you play, things definitely have come a long way since Pac-Man. Now you're playing with power. Deep of power.